Hi everybody, this is Ben Colby, teen librarian Enoch Pratt, with a video today to talk about creating a platformer game. Now, this is arcade.makecode.com, and if you scroll down here on this site, under blocks games, there are a lot of good examples, including this one, Jumpy Platformer, which you can open. It's a pretty advanced example of what you could do on this site. And it's going to take a second to load for me here, but this gives you an example of one of the more complicated things you can do. I have a slightly different idea. I'm going to go back to home and start from scratch. And I'm going to call this game Platform Warp, because there's going to be a gravity warp that happens at some point. The challenge is not going to be so much about jumping on the enemies and getting the coins. I would like it to be planning for the gravity warp, and I'll explain what I mean. So here I am with a new game. So I'm going to start by creating my player sprite. And let's just give it a name. New variable, player sprite. And it's setting it to an image. Let's just go to the gallery and pick something that's already there. You can make your own images. Today, I am not going to. I kind of like this Nemo fish here. Let's work with that. I'll give him red eyes, though. Big red eyes. Okay. So that I have my sprite, and it should pop right up in the middle here. Now I want to be able to control that. So I go into controller, and it's the first thing. Move my sprite with buttons, and let's pick the right sprite. This is player sprite. And if I try this now, you can see I'm moving all around. I only want the buttons to affect the X direction because I still want us to be jumping and using a button to jump. So I only want the arrows to work in the left and right direction. So I just set the Vy to 0, meaning the velocity in Y from the buttons. Next, let's do this thing that is in scene. If I scroll down to where it says camera all the way at the bottom, I want the camera to follow the player sprite. So I guess you won't really be able to see it because now it looks like it's staying in the center, but whatever's around it is moving. So let's create some things to go around it. Under game, we are going to create, it's under scene, we're going to create a tile map. So set tile map 2, and I click on that and I get a graphics editor. And I have all these tiles I can choose from. So I'm going to pick something for the top of the screen and the bottom of the screen that'll represent the wall, the highest you can go. I'll just choose this. And instead of, I can mark this like click by click, or I can use this line tool, which is a little bit faster. Great. And then I want to have lava on top of that. So I think that one is under miscellaneous, yes. And I'm going to use this one. So I still have the line tool selected, and I'm just going to click and drag. Here and here. Also in the middle, I want something for some platforms. So let's see what's good. This is pretty good. And I'm just going to create a few platforms to jump on for now. You can go all the way to the edge if you want. Great. I'm pretty happy with this for now as a start. The last thing I really need to do is click on this button right here, which is the wall button. And I have to create walls. And I just drag that over. So I don't want to make the lava a wall because you have to be able to fall into the lava. So, but the stuff above it and below it is a wall, and then all of these platforms have to be counted as walls so that you won't fall through them. And so I just, yep, so I have everything highlighted and I hit done. And now I am moving back and forth in the tile map. I would like to add gravity now. So that is under sprites. If I go to, so this is kind of a catch-all physics block right here, set my sprite X to something, because that X is a drop-down menu that can give you a lot of different things. Right now what I want is acceleration in the Y direction. And let's just put it with the sprite stuff up here. And right now it's at 0. If I make this positive, then that means there's an acceleration going down, which is going to be basically gravity. So I'm going to put something in there. Let's try 40 and see what the difference is now. So now if I go off the edge, I'm falling. It's still pretty slow. I think I could still turn gravity up a little bit, but that's good enough for now. I also want to be able to jump, and that is a button command. So I'm going to go over to controller, on A button pressed, which is, you can hit the space bar too. You can either hit this A over here or hit the space bar. Well, we need to give you a positive velocity facing up. So I'm just going to use that same block. Set the player sprite velocity. So I'm going to VY, velocity in the Y direction, to a certain number. If I were to say positive 100, that would actually shoot us down because the Y direction is facing down in Make Code Arcade, not up. So like, yeah, I just jumped down. So I need to make it negative so I can jump up. And now when I do that, I am jumping up and I'm hitting the wall, and I can actually keep hitting it over and over again like Flappy Bird, and it'll just keep jumping. So I need to create a condition. I only execute the jump if I am on one of these surfaces. Otherwise, the button should do nothing. So let's go over to logic, conditional statement, if true. I'm putting that in my A loop around the jump velocity here. And there's going to be a condition that goes in here. And let's see, it's a sprite. Oh, it's under scene. Here it is, under tiles. On sprite of kind player overlaps tile at location. So I'm just going to put that off to the side here. Actually, I can go below. Scroll down a little bit. Okay, so on sprite of kind player, no, I'm sorry. You know what? Because I need this to be an event, or a condition that I can put right in here. I grabbed the wrong one. It's still under scene. It's right next to that. Is my sprite hitting the wall? So under collisions, it's the third thing. Is player sprite hitting the wall? And this, you have 4 directions here. At the top, to the left, to the right, or on the bottom. So if you're hitting a wall on the bottom, that's the same thing as standing on one of these blocks. So is player sprite hitting wall bottom? Then you can do the jump. Otherwise, nothing. You would just skip it. So let's test that. The lava still isn't killing me, and I still want to turn the gravity up. So let's just do that right now. Acceleration was 40. Let's double the gravity to 80. And I think that'll be pretty good. Yeah, maybe still needs to be higher. Anyway, so I am going to, now that this is kind of working okay, I'm going to go back into the tile map and make it a little bit longer, make the level a little bit bigger. So it's one of these two. I think it's the first one. If instead of a 16 by 16 tile map, let's make it 50 by 16. Yeah, so now it just stretched out my world a little bit. Let's go back and find these. And I'm just going to extend these all the way to the end and create a few more platforms in the middle. And then I'm also going to add a door where you can get out at the end. miscellaneous, it was over here. Oh, and it's actually fine if you make a mistake like that, because you can just leave it. Great, and then I need to just make sure those are walls. Fine, and then let's go back to the forest, and I think it was, well, I guess yeah. That's fine. I guess it doesn't have to be exactly the right one as long as we have our walls set up. And so every now and then, the gravity is going to flip from down to up. I'm going to do that in part 2, not part 1, so don't worry about it for now. But yeah, that's good. And then that's a little hidden passage where you will find the door out. Cool. Let me just get these walls marked. And then the last thing will just be to create the winning and losing overlap conditions. If you overlap with lava, you die. If you overlap with the door, you win. So anytime we want the sprite to be overlapping with, yeah, it's this block that I started to use earlier. So on sprite of kind player overlaps the lava, then what happens? You die. Game over, lose with effect. Pick an effect. Melt. How about that? And that's all we need to do for losing. Now for winning, it's under scene again. On sprite of kind player overlap the door, and I can just drag it, I can just grab it right here from the drop-down menu. Then that is a game over win. With, I don't know, smiles effect. Pretty cool. Speaking of effects, you can put some nice screen effects in. So I'm going to look in scene, start screen effects here in the start menu. These are all pretty cool looking, but I'll just do bubbles. So now it kind of looks like we're under the sea. You can add a background if you want, but the jumping is working pretty well. And there's no animation to the character. We can add that later. I just got a game over. Let me see if I can actually get to the end. See if the win condition works. Oh, wow, it's hard. I'll do it, though. Okay. I win. Okay. So I think that this is pretty good for round 1 of this activity. Gravity warp will be the main feature of round 2. And character animations, and maybe even some sound effects. We'll see. Things might get crazy. So let me just review this real quick. On the start menu, we created our player sprite with a certain picture of kind player. We set it up to move with the buttons only in the X direction, not in the Y direction. We set up the camera to follow the sprite around. We set the gravity here, and if you need to adjust the gravity or turn it up or down, this is where you would do it. We have the tile map right here, and we have a screen effect. On button A pressed, we are checking to see if the player sprite is hitting a wall on the bottom, meaning is it standing on a surface. Then you execute the jump, which means you set the velocity to a certain amount that shoots it up for a time until gravity brings it back down. On sprite of kind player overlaps lava, game over lose. On sprite of kind player overlaps the door out, game over win. It's not done, but it's a great start. Okay, the end.